Hello, I'm Callum Dilietto, and this is the second season of the Flock Together podcast in partnership with the Marne Convention Bureau. We're here at the Langham, and I'm joined by Russell. How are you?
I'm very well, Callum. How are you?
I am good. Do you know what I was thinking about the other day? Was you were the last person in the industry I saw before lockdown.
Really? Oh, when you came to... Yeah,
Because we went to an event,
Yeah.
and it was a luxury manor. It was very, it was a great. It was a small group of us, but we had the whole manor to ourselves, and it was that perfect time where we were kind of so ignorant to what was coming, and we just had this great time. And then maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later, the whole world stopped, and I just always remember that night very, very fondly, and therefore by association with you as well.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago, because it was right after... That event was right after I got married, and I remember you guys coming down.
Yeah.
It was a great group. It was really good.
And then it was crazy. But and then I think it came up on your Facebook memories
Yeah,
recently, didn't it?
it did. Yeah, it came up on my memories, and I tagged you in that.
Yeah.
It was like, exactly 4 years ago.
Which is crazy. But yeah, that was such a great time. And interestingly, because you've historically been venues, and now you're at BCD from the agent side. What was that transition like?
It was something that I'd always thought about.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're working in a venue, you have to same with wherever you're working, you really have to believe in it, like what you're selling, like the concept. You really, really have to live and breathe it. So it was the same when I was at the Roof Gardens in Kensington. As soon as I went there for the interview, I fell in love with the venue. When I went to Cowdrey, I fell in love with the venue. And for me, I'd always thought, where else would I go from Cowdrey? And I was like, this is where I'm going to be forever. It's just me to a T. And everyone that came to see it was always like, you are really this is meant for you, this role. So when COVID came around, and like a lot of other people, we were made redundant. I was like, where else? I can't envision myself in another venue that I would really feel passionate about selling. And in the back of my mind, I'd always been thinking, I wonder what it would be like to join the agency side, because obviously I worked at CNIT as well, involved in all the live events, and got to meet all the agencies, at the different trade shows and the events that we organised. So the transition for me was kind of perfect timing.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it there. Everyone that works there has been there for years and years and years and years. So they've got so much knowledge. You can learn so much. I've learned so much in the 2 years that I've been there. So it's the perfect role. I love being in front of our clients. I love networking, but then I also, get my head down in real account management. And so for me, it's best of both worlds. I get to experience so much. So yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, externally it felt like a perfect fit as well.
Yeah.
The first part of the podcast is about your letter to the industry. Mm-hmm. It's about getting your quill and writing to the wider industry about anything that you want to talk about. What would your letter be?
So I thought about this, and something that's come up quite often in conversations with clients is about making events inclusive for everyone. So my letter to the industry would be about inclusivity, and making sure that the events that are being held by clients are accessible for anyone to attend within that business. But also, how are we making the events industry inclusive for anyone in terms of from a venue side, from an agency side, from a corporate side. So what are we doing as an events industry to make attending events inclusive and accessible for everyone, but also working within those businesses? How are they making them inclusive? What are they doing? Are they focusing on internships and within the education system? So all about making things more inclusive for everyone, and how they sort of cultivate sort of new, how are they recruiting, and how are they retaining the staff, to get the best people, because it's a fun industry to work in.
Yeah.
So how are we getting new people into the business? Like I was saying, where I work, people have been there for years and years and years and years. And so how are we cultivating that new the younger generation, bringing them into the events industry.
That's it, because it feels like such a hidden industry. It feels like this like well-kept secret, and
Yeah.
people don't necessarily find themselves. They kind of almost fall into the industry, but
Yeah.
actually, yes, we can be more inclusive for delegates attending events, but there's also this inclusivity about attracting people into the industry and working at, all different elements of agency, corporate, hotel, and I think we need to no longer be a hidden gem and actually get out there and let the wider world see that there are some fantastic opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, from all different sides within the hospitality industry. So, like operations to, event management. Like, there's so many different avenues. And yeah, just be, just really something that inclusivity, diversity, all of that is really being looked at a lot more at the moment, I think. So yeah, that would be my letter to the industry.
The next part of the podcast is about remembering.
Yep.
So, what was the first ever work trip that you went on?
So I was thinking about this last night, and I was thinking it was probably like IBTM or IMEX or some square meal, or like some trade show. But it was actually when I was at CNIT, and I had to. So I went to Edinburgh with a colleague, and we were like launching, or just recently launched this new product. And so we had to present this product to about 100 people in the room. I believe it was held at one of the function rooms at the EICC. And I was petrified because talking to that many people in a big room, like big stage. So that was probably my first sort of work trip.
It's a bit of a baptism of fire as well, having to publicly speak as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I was much younger than I am now.
Yeah.
So it was one of the first sort of work trips where I've actually, it wasn't like a familiarization trip where you got to like network and speak to people on a more sort of relaxed level, but it was kind of like delivering this big, like, presentation on something new. Yeah, so that was a bit daunting, but it went really well, and then I went on holiday right afterwards, so it was great.
I bet you're like, I need a holiday after that. That was stressful, but I've done it. I've got on the other side. Yeah. And then what was your most recent work trip?
So my most recent work trip was about 2 weeks ago, and that was to the Four Seasons, Hampshire.
Nice.
Yeah, super lovely property. Being in the events industry for a long time, I thought I knew everything. Been there, been here, been there. There's so many places that I haven't been. So it's like working agency side now, I get to experience so many really lovely places and lovely hotels and all sorts of venues and restaurants. And I hadn't been to the Four Seasons Hampshire before. So yeah, we went with some clients, and it was amazing. Beautiful countryside retreat. Just, yeah, super lovely.
I have to admit, the thing that's quite lucky about the UK is that there are a lot of destinations where all of the luxury hotels are just in their capital or in their main city, and that's it. Whereas we have so many beautiful properties all across the UK that it is it's almost impossible to say that you've been to them all, because there's just so much choice. So it's a lovely rare treat to go to one you haven't seen and be out in the countryside and not just in the city and experience that luxury.
Yeah, I totally agree. We get invited to so many different things, and like you said, it's impossible to see everything.
The next part of the podcast is about reliving your most memorable destination experience. So if you could go back in time and relive something, where would it be?
So, everyone has like this happy place, and mine has to be in Verbier. I've been very lucky to stay at Richard Branson's lodge.
Wow.
And it is just the attention to detail, the service you get from staff is just like nothing I've ever experienced before. So that's where I would definitely like to go back and experience it, because I didn't actually go skiing. So, and I went twice and didn't go skiing. But there's it's such a nice town. There's lots to do, lots of really nice places to go to eat. And I mean, the property itself, the lodge, has like a spa, and it has an amazing outdoor hot tub. So you can just imagine like snow everywhere. You're sitting in a hot tub. This is Richard Branson's, lodge. You can only imagine who stayed here. So that's definitely where I'd like to go back to.
Yeah, that sounds like an absolute dream. And I think my favourite part about skiing or snowboarding is not actually being on the slopes. It's the après ski. It's being in a hot tub in the snow or whatever it is. It's that whole culture around the skiing that I think most people enjoy. So I completely understand why you actually didn't do any skiing, because when you're in places like that, you wouldn't want to waste any time not being in and amongst that. So
if I ever got to go back, then I would definitely take some skiing lessons.
And the next part of revisiting is around which hotel would you make a home? I mean, it sounds like Richard Branson's lodge is up there, but
that is up there, but it's not somewhere I would want to live, but it's somewhere that I'd like to
visit.
Maybe spend Christmas. That's like the ideal scenario. If you ever win the lottery, that's where we're going to book exclusive use, for that kind of thing. But if I was going to make any sort of hotel a home, it would have to be the penthouse suite at the One Hotel Mayfair.
Nice.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's just the whole hotel is really lovely, as is the Langham, obviously. But yeah, the One Hotel it's just, I don't know. It's everyone has their sort of vibe. It's just me to a T. Like, it's clean, like lots of daylight, amazing balcony. I mean, you can literally see the Ritz and then Green Park. Great location. Like, it's probably bigger than my house, but that's where I'd make a home.
Do you know what? It's so funny because obviously I ask this question all the time, and my answer is the One Hotel in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a One Hotel that overlooks Manhattan skyline. It's right by Brooklyn Bridge, and I go there for drinks every time I'm in New York. But the views are incredible, and so I've always thought to myself, my answer would be that. And when you just said the One Hotel, I thought, he's going to take my answer.
Oh, gosh.
And then you said Mayfair, and I was like, okay, it's fine. That could be your home. This would be my home. We'll visit each other.
Yeah, we can do house swap.
The next part of the podcast is reimagine, and what I'd like you to do is basically reimagine your role and actually plan an incentive trip for yourself.
Okay.
Where would you go? What would you do? And which celebrity guest would accompany you?
Okay. So I mentioned the lodge. Obviously, working for Virgin in the past for that sort of luxury collection of portfolios, there's some really, really amazing sort of destinations. So mine would have to be taking over Necker Island, because who wouldn't want their own private island?
Yeah.
I love the sun and the beach and water sports and being outdoorsy, and there's so much to do there. It's like a 74-acre island. So I would take over that exclusively for 10 days. And yeah, the culinary experiences are amazing. I think you can literally eat sushi from a boat in a swimming pool. So it's just it's amazing. I wish I had the chance and the opportunity to go there. So yeah, that's exactly where I would go.
My dad, he's a big tennis man, and there was a Virgin Active competition where certain tennis players would qualify to go to Necker Island. He got very, very close, he just didn't make it. And I remember being so gutted for him. He wasn't that bothered. He took it on the chin, but in my head I was like, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is certainly a well picked destination. But which celebrity would you have there with you?
Oh, there's so many. Like, I mean, I like my showbiz pop culture.
Yeah.
But one show that I've like grown up watching is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
So I'd have to pick both of them, right? Like, it would have to be Jennifer and Joanna. Like, it would have to be them.
That would
But
be
in character.
Yeah. So it would be an absolutely fabulous time at Necker Island.
Exactly. Yeah.
The final part of the podcast is a quick fire reaction round.
Okay.
So you just need to answer these questions as quick as you can.
Sure.
Packing, last minute or week before?
Week before.
Oh, you're a well prepped packer, are you?
Yeah.
Carry on or check in?
Check in.
Airport lounge or shopping?
Airport lounge.
You're like, obviously the lounge.
Yeah, someone could do the shopping for me.
Yeah. Aisle seat or window seat?
Aisle.
City or nature?
Nature.
Lay in or early start?
Lay in.
Don't sound guilty about it. I would be exactly the same. It's like, yeah, lay in. When people say early start, I'm like, no. Poolside or seaside?
Oh, I like both. Oh my gosh. Beach.
Water. Either way, you want water.
Yeah.
Planned or spontaneous?
Oh, again, a bit of both. I love being spontaneous, but as I'm getting older, I like to plan everything ahead of time.
Well,
so I'm going with planned.
You like to pack a week in advance.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I feel I should know the answer then.
Yeah.
Breakfast, hot or cold?
Hot.
And hotel, room service or restaurant?
Room service.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. It's
Thank
been an
you.
absolute pleasure, and thank you for being part of the vlog.
Thank you for inviting me and having me today. I really appreciate it.